I'm Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Jenna Morton, and we are thrilled to have another fantastic guest joining us this week. And this is one of my favorite people to talk to when it comes to parenting, for sure, and just in general. So I'm very thrilled to welcome Ann Douglas to the podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. Hi, Jenna. Hi, Tosh.
Hello.
It's a whole new world like this.
It is. It's fantastic.
It totally is.
Yeah. So for folks who are listening or watching us who don't know Ann, she is a Canadian author who focuses on parenting. And hers, I say this all the time when we talk, the only parenting book that I bought that was about like pregnancy and parenting and all that stuff was yours, Ann.
Aw, thank
and
you.
It was fantastic. Well, because a lot of those books, they drive me nuts. There's too many of them, and they're all out there, and they're crazy, and it's either, it's too much information or it's not enough information, and it's most of the time it's someone giving their opinion, which is not the kind of information I want.
You don't really want to improvise when it comes to like pregnancy, right?
Oh, no, but your books are Canadian, which is what drew me to them at first, and they're so factual. And they're so well researched, and you put so much effort into making sure that you speak with as many Canadian parents and experts as you can when you put your books together. And so I absolutely love your approach to all of this.
And you wonder why, if you ever want to talk to me, I'm always willing to come on camera or record with you. I mean, like, this is like the validation that every author dreams of. So I'm just going to play this recording on permanent loop in my office to impress my family members and my publisher and all that. So thank you so much, Jenna. I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. And so, that's why we're so excited to get to talk to you, especially right now, because I think right now we all need to be having these conversations and need to be reminding ourselves of what's happening with other parents.
Yes.
Because these are crazy times for everyone. What is the first message you really want to share and put out there for people right now?
I think we really need to acknowledge that this is like not a normal time, because I think that a lot of the stress parents are feeling right now comes down to trying to act like it's normal and that the normal rules of parenting and work and everyday living should all apply, but they totally can't right now. I mean, everything has been upended. The supports that are available to parents are falling, and the expectations are rising by the minute. So every single parent I know is feeling exhausted, anxious, overwhelmed, and woefully inadequate. So I just want to pivot and tell parents, the situation is the problem. You are not the problem. In fact, you are the gift to your kids in this moment, even though you probably don't feel exactly like a gift right now.
I can agree and attest to that. Every day I sit down and I go, today's the day I'm going to print off some stuff for them to do. And then I don't do it. And then
but maybe that's part of the gift, because I mean, think about being, I don't know what the age of your kids, Tosh, but think about like, oh, wow, my parents just gave me a worksheet.
Like, yeah, mine don't appreciate that.
Yeah, no.
We make it optional whether or not they do it, but yeah, they don't appreciate even that. Well, maybe the oldest does. She likes them sometimes.
Depends the day. Jenna, you actually just put up a really cool New Brunswick word search, and Sarah was so excited to get that this morning. That's what she's doing right now while we're doing the podcast. It's like, here, this hopefully will keep you busy.
That being fun. When I was a kid, I used to buy those word search puzzle books, and especially the ones that were themes, like, all the flowers, or as you said, New Brunswick. It's like, wow, it's almost educational and it's fun. And
it's totally educational.
Exactly.
Totally counting that.
And it's good for your brain, because suddenly you can see words backwards, and that means that you can do cool things like, mirror writing with your siblings and hold notes up to communicate in other ways. Like, the possibilities, the enrichment opportunities is what I'm saying, have just exploded exponentially in your family. So
it's very true. And I think a lot of parents are having trouble realizing that and making that switch to, okay, what we think of as schoolwork, it works in school.
Yes.
We are not in school. Most of us did not go into teaching for a reason.
Yes,
because trust me, I looked at it and went, no, that wouldn't have been for me. And I think, it's taking those little moments and really just taking a couple extra steps to say, oh, you want to bake something. okay. And you can do the fractions while you're doing it, or do the addition if they're younger. And even just the independence of letting them do things, letting them
Yes.
be bored and come up with crazy ideas to do.
Yeah.
That is so valuable. And I think for a long time now, we've kind of lost sight of that for a lot of people. And we've really gotten caught up in this structure.
Right.
And so I think it's really, really fantastic to see and to really have that forced upon us to understand, no, unstructured activity has so much value.
Yeah, and especially when a child is really interested in something. I mean, that's what sends all of us, even as adults, down those rabbit holes. It's like, gee, I wonder whatever happened to so and so, or, can I teach myself this practical skill? And, we fire up all the YouTube videos. So it's the same thing for kids. Like, if you are fascinated by a question or, a category like, dinosaurs or space or whatever, being allowed to do that research, do that learning at your own initiative, that's going to be so much more powerful than, wow, a grown-up thought this would be fun and handed this to you, and even just, it's so cliche, but like, making things with the contents of the recycling bin. I saw another mom I know yesterday posting pictures on Instagram, and thank God they weren't like the really super challenging projects. This was like a cereal box that had been turned into like a car ramp for little dinky cars to go down, and her kids and her were having fun just using those materials. It doesn't have to be huge, because really all the kids really want is to be engaged with you in some way in their learning, to share what they're discovering, and just to have fun, because learning and fun don't have to be opposites. They can be happening at the exact same time.
That actually is a good point. My husband's still working, and I have never seen the kids so happy for him to come home so they can say, look what I did today. Right?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause when they're in school all day, they're not like, hey, look at my notebook that the teacher wrote. No, it's like, Daddy, look, we're currently like dissolving the eggshells in vinegar. That's our current
Wow.
plan that's happening right now, our science project. And yeah, every day, Daddy, look, you can almost see through it. So
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah, they want us more now than ever. Which can be exhausting mentally. Absolutely.
totally.
Yeah, there's no denying that. But yes, you're right. It's nice to, when you have the moments, to use the moments.
Yes.
Yeah, I mentioned this on Twitter the other day with you, Anne. Someone had asked about, not having seen a lot of fathers' perspectives during this whole thing. And I shared that day my husband had said, wow, it really is, it's not me that they respond poorly to at 4:30 in the afternoon, usually when he's coming home from work. It's the time of day. And he
Yes.
knew that logically, but to actually be here in the house all day, he's like, oh, I get to see them in the middle of the day when they're fun and when they're happy and they're not tired and exhausted and they haven't been, playing with each other all day. So now they're tired of each other.
Yes.
Now he gets to see more of those good moments and to really, understand, yep, nope, it's that witching hour is still here at ages 8 and 7.
Yeah, that's so important. And just, because I think it is so easy to take parenting personally. And, it could just be, like you said, the time of day or the temperament of a particular kid, or, their developmental stage, like all kinds of things can sort of strain that parent-child relationship. So when you have those amazing spontaneous moments of connection, like that's what parents love most about parenting. I mean, I think we read so many stories that are all about, parents are universally miserable and, want to wreck your life, have a kid, like those kind of headlines, when really, if you drill down, parents aren't more miserable than other people. Parenting is not just another word for misery. Actually, parents are extremely happy, and what makes them happy is those moments of connection with their kids. And of course, those moments of connection are surrounded by everyday annoyance and frustration and stress and nobody being their best self. But when they happen, they really are fantastic. And, they happen at all ages and stages of parenting. I mean, I've had a couple of little tender-hearted moments with my virtual family, who are now, my 4 kids are now, far flung and spread, but just even, via Zoom call, when you have those moments of connection, or when you're a mother like me and you do something super sappy on Easter weekend and you send everybody a video of you reading a children's story to them back when they were little kids. So
Did you get a lot of tears with that?
I got thank you notes, which is like the ultimate parenting currency, right? To have someone actually say, hey, I actually enjoyed and appreciated that. So out of 3 out of 4 kids. If it ever came from 4 out of 4, I think that would be my final act as a parent.
Just wash your hands of it. Done.
Yeah, done. Yeah. Hit the pinnacle. Nowhere else to go. So for parents who are still struggling to find those good moments of connection, or to hold on to them because all of the other weight that we're carrying right now, what tips do you have? What advice do you have for those parents who are still struggling with that?
I think a lot of it comes down to sort of like being able to focus your attention on what it is you really want to notice and appreciate and enjoy. And that sounds so easy, but it's not, because when we're anxious, our brains are so much more distractible than usual. And most of us right now are multitasking. I mean, we're trying to start lunch and respond to emails and do school and renegotiate the mortgage, and all these things happening sort of all at once. So of course our brain is hopping from activity to activity. But I think if you feel yourself feeling torn in all directions and really exhausted, maybe saying to yourself, for the next 15 minutes I'm focusing on this, and then after that I'll focus on this, because otherwise you're basically dividing your bandwidth. We know what happens on the internet, especially in rural areas, when you try to do too many activities at once. You get crashes or smudged screens. It's the same thing that's happening with your patience, your emotional resources, your ability to think and plan. So just saying, I don't have a huge amount of time for one-on-one time with my kids in the next couple of hours because I have that pressing meeting at work or whatever. But for the next 15 minutes, we can just laugh, enjoy with, time with one another, and then I can shift my focus. And of course, being kind to yourself, because sometimes you just can't pull this off. Like you wake up under a cloud of doom, like the cartoon cloud of doom that follows over your head, and you just can't escape from that in a particular moment because you are feeling weighted down by the pressure of the world. And in those moments, you say to yourself, I'm doing the best that I can in a really difficult situation, and maybe things will be a little better or a little easier later in the day so I can, revisit this. Because I think if nothing else, we are all learning so many flexible thinking skills. We're pivoting from this to that. And, I don't know about you, but there's some days when I go to log on to my favorite news sites and I think, what will the world have for me in this moment? And a lot of days I'm not liking what's showing up in my news feeds, but every once in a while you do find something inspiring and hope-filled. And nature, of course, is doing spring, which helps a lot.
Yes. Yeah, that definitely has helped here where we still had, piles of snow when all of this at-home life began. The more it clears up and the more I can see my ground, I'm happier. And I'm not an outdoorsy person.
Maybe you will be. Yeah.
No, those allergies still exist. I know
true.
that.
Very true. And I like how you pointed out 15 minutes, like a short period of time. I think a lot of parents are putting stress on themselves that like, I'm not spending an hour or 2 hours doing this schoolwork or that schoolwork. I think you're 100% right. Yeah. If it's just little moments in between, so much less stress on your shoulders, right?
Yeah, because I think right now we just have to bring down those expectations on ourselves. And I think part of what happens is we compare ourselves to some mythical person who has their act totally together. And I'm guilty of doing this. It's like, okay, one friend online has just posted pictures of amazing meals, and another one is showing herself doing her workout, and another friend is being patient and engaged with her charming and delightful children. And I sort of blend all those into one mythical beast that is one person. And it's not. It's 3 different people having good 15-minute chunks over the course of a week because they didn't post the rest of their week. So I think if we can say to ourselves, the more normal experience right now is for parents to be feeling quite overloaded, quite stressed, also having moments of joy, then having moments of frustration, and repeating the cycle over and over again. If we can normalize that and say to ourselves, all I can control is what's happening in this moment with my kids. And, let's make the best of a really challenging situation so that when the kids do come out the other side of this experience, maybe they carry some moments of fun and joy along with, my parents were glued to the screen trying to figure out what the rules of social distancing were today.
So true. One thing I wanted to touch on briefly, although it's a big topic, something you've written a lot about. In fact, one of your books was pretty much focused on being an advocate, especially if you have a child who has some kind of special needs,
Yes.
diagnoses, that type of thing. I know it's an extra hard time right now for a lot of parents who have children who have, whether it's learning challenges or physical challenges, things that they're used to being able to go and get those supports for. What can we say to those parents right now who need that extra help?
Yes. I think a big thing to know is that some of those supports are still available behind the scenes in other ways, because you're right. I mean, all of us are finding things challenging. All of us were finding things challenging before this started. Then it all got dialed up. But yet, yes, there are those families who maybe have a child with a learning disability or a mental health challenge, or who, have any number of sort of challenging things happening in their families. It's so important to look for ways to get support. Maybe it could be from your local children's mental health or learning disability society. Maybe they're doing something virtually. Maybe it's connecting with other parents who are in a similar situation. I mean, I've been on so many calls with parents in the past few weeks where, all my kids have ADHD and they are running circles around the house at 90 miles an hour because in our situation, we can't go outdoors right now. And, it's like, hearing other parents say, yes, things are kind of falling apart in little ways, and we can also validate one another's experience. We can get some practical tools and, see what could the school board or somebody else be doing to try and make
the podcast.